There's one other thing. Barbara Broccoli was interviewed on this Hollywood Reporter podcast. There was something she kept talking about family. The theme of the movie was family, and it's like, and she referred to his MI6 family and his real family, the Madeline and the kid, and like, is Bond really supposed to be a family man? I'm not really sure. And then you can say, well, in the books, he got Kissy Suzuki pregnancy. Yeah, but he didn't know that.
He didn't know that.
She didn't tell him. She didn't tell him about the kid. So, because he was going off to Russia to try and find out about his past.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same thing.
It's not the thing that you recognize in Bond films. I would say I actually did think that they did the kid well. I mean, if they're going to have a Bond kid in the film, they put it there, but they didn't have to dwell on it. And even in moments in the film when he has to explain away the kid to Nomi, and he goes, Nomi, this is Madeline, and this is my, and he doesn't even finish the sentence. He kind of just shrugs it off. I think everything that they did to mitigate having too much attached to the kid was good.
Yeah.
So in that respect, but should there have been a kid in the first place? I don't care for that. I don't really care for the Madeline Swan story arc yet. That seems to be the heartbeat of the film. I mean, it's pretty much her film.
Right.
Bill, I got a theory, and I think I penciled it down and chucked it over to you, but I wanted to get your take on this. And it's been said before that Bond is like this empty vessel into which, I'm talking about literary Bond here, that the reader decants his or her expectations into. And I pulled that from the For Your Eyes Only biography by Ben McIntyre, but then also hit upon this with James Pearson's book on Ian Fleming, which he says, apart from Le Chiffre, M and Vesper, the minor characters in Casino Royale are the merest shadows with names attached. The only other character who matters is Ian Fleming himself. But James Bond is not really a character in this book. He's a mouthpiece for the man who inhabits him, a dummy for him to hang his clothes on, a zombie to perform the dreams of violence and daring which fascinate his creator. So I know we're talking about literary Fleming there, but if you transpose that to cinematic Fleming, you have cinematic Bond, and all of the action heroes. Like, you have a vacant Keanu Reeves in most films. You're supposed to put your personality into that so that there's room for you to impart your dreams. And what would you do in this scenario? Because the main guy isn't filled up with all this emotional baggage. He's not like overspilling with all of this kind of hanging on stuff. There's no room for you in there. Does any of that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think that's what Fleming intended. Certainly. I think what happened was, because there's quotes from Fleming, like he intended to be a blunt instrument. He picked the name James Bond from that, author about the birds, because it was a flat name. But I think it got away from him, because I think that's what he wanted. But it was sort of, in my mind, I'm thinking it was maybe kind of Frankenstein's monster, and that it's like, maybe that projection that you described, maybe that's the reason. But because he's certainly not a flat, dull person.
Well, but he was certainly more 2D in, say, Connery or Pierce's day. The closest Pierce gets to any emotion is like on the beach in Goldeneye, when she goes, "What's what keeps you alone?" No, it keeps me alive, or something like that. I think I screwed it up. It's the other way around. But that was supposed to be billed as the most emotional that Bond's ever been, and he's now vulnerable and all that. I think with Daniel Craig, they went so far in that direction. And by the way, I love Daniel Craig. I think he's done great things with Bond. But towards the end, it's just got so much emotional baggage that there's nothing for the audience. Like, for someone like me, there's nowhere for me to go with him because I don't have kids. So
in the pre-Craig films, you would have little moments like that, but they were just that. There was just enough to add a little bit of flavor here and there. I mean, one of my favorites, you mentioned Connery. So as in Thunderball, he arranges for the power to be cut off to Largo's villa, estate, whatever, and because he's going in to try and rescue Paula, his fellow agent. But by the time he gets there, she's already dead. She committed suicide. She took the cyanide pill. Mm-hmm. And so there's this moment where he's looking at the body, and it's helped by, John Barry's score in that scene. and it's like he's pissed, he's angry, but he can't dwell on it. He's got to get the hell out of there. So it's so you have moments like that, but but they don't get in the way of the bigger story. And something similar in You Only Live Twice, when Aki dies,
Mm.
she ingests the poison that was meant for Bond, and again, he looks at her. You have the sad music in the background, and then one moment, even in the Roger Moore films, there's that one scene in The Spy Who Loved Me where Anya confronts Bond about, did
Oh,
you kill
yeah.
my
My favorite
lover?
bit of that film. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roger Moore is like really good. So it's like
Oh.
this, you have like roughly 5 minutes, if that, of this scene, and what's really what I like about it is Roger Moore Bond does not shirk from that. He
Mhm.
says, he has that line, something about when you're on skis at 40 miles an hour, you can't always, see who's
Yeah.
shooting at you or whatever.
Can't always
But then,
recognize a face. Yeah.
right, yes, but then he says, but the answer is yes, I did kill him.
You know what?
And
You know what he should have said there. He goes, "I did kill him, but I was skiing backwards at the time, and you should have seen it because it's the most amazing shot. And then I did a backflip off the edge of the ravine, and then I got that. And you thought, and he could have just done that story, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's what I would have done."
yeah.